If you are very new to Go High Level and you are trying to get your first 25 clients, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that in this training. This also applies to you if you are struggling to get your first 25 clients and maybe you're not very new and you just are having some trouble with actually getting to that milestone. But that being said, let's go ahead and jump into this resource. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. If you want access to this resource, all you have to do is hit me up on Facebook at Alec J. Roy or Instagram, same exact handle at Alec J. Roy, and I'll go ahead and send it over to you. But let's go ahead and jump in. So again, this is going to be the fastest way to reach your first 25 clients in 2024, regardless of your skill. So when I say skill, what I'm referring to is how confident or how comfortable you are with the high level software itself. Now, the bottom line up front, this training is going to be for you if you have no experience, no case studies, nothing. So if you have basically no experience, no case studies, nothing. If this is you, then what you're going to do and what you're going to learn in this training is how to essentially assume all of the risk up front to kickstart your agency. Now, before we move on, if you have experience, if you have case studies, if you have an audience even, then this training may not be as applicable for you. Yes, it will still work, but essentially you'll be putting a lot of money and a lot of time on the table that you otherwise really don't have to. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we have to stop listening to people who have not scaled an agency before. Most people who are advising you on how to start, what they do is they simply tell you to do the exact same thing that you would do if you ran a full-fledged marketing agency. They're going to tell you to do that as a beginner. So that would look something like, well, as a beginner, you can do cold calling. As a beginner, you can do cold emailing. As a beginner, you can go door to door and solicit people, even though there's a bunch of fines for that. As a beginner, you can run ads, run paid ads with the non-existent money that you've made from your high-level agency since you've just started out, right? They're basically going to tell you this because they either have no idea what they're talking about, because they are what I call scam affiliates. They basically are promoting an affiliate product because they have no earthly idea how to actually scale the agency themselves. I think that's a big reason, by the way, why High Level has not the best reputation with online marketing. A lot of people view it as scammy because of the scam affiliates, or they just don't want to share the actual process for whatever reason, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be showing you, and this is also the exact reason why I want to show you how I started and scaled my Go High Level agency, where what I do is I sell done for you client retention and acquisition models. I price them between 4 and 10K to set up, and then afterwards every single month my clients are paying me between $97, so as low as $97 a month, all the way up to $3,000 a month retainer packages. And of course, this depends on the client and their needs. Now, I started with $0, so I'm going to be showing you exactly how I started with $0 after I lost a ton of money following what other people advised me to do. So this is kind of my way of giving back to help others avoid the same pitfalls that I jumped into head first. What I will say, just to give a little caveat here, I'm not saying that I'm the only person you have to listen to. No, what I'm saying is make sure you listen to people who have scaled an agency before. I'm not saying that my method is the best method. I'm just saying that this is the fastest method that I've seen to hitting your first 25 clients without spending a single penny. That being said, if others are showing you other ways, then yeah, of course, follow anything that works, right? Now, why should you listen to me? Frankly, I really don't care if you listen to me or not. The content is just free, right? I'm just trying to give you free help, free content. The content works. It's how I got to my first several clients. It's how some of my students are getting their first couple of clients, right? So it works, right? And like I said, I should know it's how I got my agency to hit 10 to 20K months in under 5 months of starting my Go High Level agency. Again, with $0. So no capital expenditure, no unnecessary upfront spending, none of that, okay? I've also worked with some big names. I've helped scale close to 1,000 agencies, but again, you probably don't even care about that. If you do, you can check out my website. You can check out my other content where I cover that more in depth, but you're most likely here because you care about scaling your agency as fast as possible, because you're either A, tired of losing money, or B, tired of not making enough money to actually quit your job. So how do we actually fix this problem? Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to, I guess the second thing we need to do is we need to stop guessing. So this is where you need to actually learn the market. And so this is the first thing that I do when I work with new students, right? Most businesses that I scale, they almost always start the exact same, right? They have an offer that they think they know will improve their client's life and their business based on, again, what they think they know the client needs, right? I'm trying to do as many quotation marks as humanly possible. Then what they do is, now that they think they know what the client needs, they go to market it, they go to promote it, And what ends up happening is they're left scratching their head, wondering why they have very few, if any, leads at all, and why those leads are such low quality, right? And the reason boils down to the simple fact that you have no idea what your lead not only needs, but also wants. And yes, I reversed the order. Yes, I did that on purpose. The reason why is because understanding what your clients need isn't the same as understanding what they want. Your responsibility is to bridge the gap between the two. How do we do that? Well, we have to understand that who you target dictates what you offer. Who you target dictates what you offer. So yes, I'm a big advocate for niching down for multiple reasons. Number one, when you niche down, you remove a lot of competition because there's fewer people in a certain category than there are in every category, right? So fewer people in a certain category than in every category. Additionally, when you niche down, then you are creating more tailored packages for people. So for example, if I said, hey, I'm creating content on how to scale your Go High Level agency versus, hey, I'm creating content on how to scale any marketing agency versus, hey, I'm creating content on how to scale a business, right? Which content are you going to consume? You're going to consume the content that is more tailored to the situation you're in. You're going to go with the offer that's more tailored to the situation that you're in. So we need to focus on creating solutions tailored around who we are targeting, right? The same solution for a plumber is not going to work for a lawyer. Not to mention, it's going to be much harder to productize what you are creating and what you're pitching. So again, that's why we need to understand who we're working with, and we need to stop solving imaginary problems. We've got to learn the problems of the industry. We have to learn the problems of the client, and then we need to create a productized solution that we can pivot with demands, with needs. If you're wondering what is a productized solution, basically, not only do you need to fixate on a specific audience, you need to also focus on a specific service you're providing to that audience. Because if you can standardize it, then you can deliver it faster. If you can deliver it faster, then you can sign on more clients at a faster rate. And your fulfillment time is much shorter, so you can get paid much faster. So that being said, we need to understand that there are 3 core drivers to landing a client, which are going to be traffic generation, conversion mechanism, and then fulfillment. So this is the same for your business. This is the same for any business. I don't care what business you're running. This is the same regardless of what you're doing, right? You are generating traffic. You have to convert that traffic so they actually pay you. And then you have to do what you said you were going to do, right? So for example, if I'm working with a lawn care guy, I need to be able to find content or traffic, some kind of traffic generator that pushes me to his offer or his website. Then I need to basically reach out to him and call him or sign up or whatever, check out with him. Then he has to come and mow the grass. For you, it has to be, how do I push people or create an audience that I can then push to my SaaS or SWAS offer, and then I have to actually provide them with and deliver on what I told them I was going to deliver, right? Now, when we create this process, whether it's for ourselves or for a client, we have to understand that the creation process is actually entirely flipped. It is 100% flipped. So here's what I mean. If you have traffic and you have nowhere to send them, then you cannot monetize it. If you have a website, but you have no idea what you're fulfilling, then you can't sell. You can't sell nothing, right? You have to have something to sell. You have to have somewhere to send them. And then you have to have someone to send to the somewhere. And in the somewhere, you have to have something to sell, right? So we build that backwards. We figure out who we're servicing. And based on who we're servicing, we figure out what they want. And then we figure out how to fulfill that. From there, now that we have something to sell, because we understand who we're selling to, now we build our very lean, low drag conversion mechanism, which is your funnel. And then we push traffic to the conversion mechanism. So for you, that's a really easy way to understand the chronological order in which we're building your agency. But when it comes to working with a client, we need to understand that of these 3 items, there's only 2 that we can offer, right? There's only 2 we can help them with. We can go ahead and forget about fulfillment because I don't expect you to suit up and do their job for them, right? So if you are, again, these 3 components, you cannot help them with the fulfillment portion. You can help generate traffic. You can help convert that traffic. But if you're working with lawyers, you're not going to suit up and go beat the case. If you're working with plumbers, you're not going to pull out the snake and snake the drain. If you're working with electricians, you're not going to lay down the wiring for, the framework of a home, right? So again, that leaves traffic generation in the conversion mechanism. Now, let's look at comparing the 2, right? Traffic generation costs more to fulfill than a conversion mechanism, because a conversion mechanism is going to be anything that you can provide them within high level, which you're already paying monthly for. So we're talking about paying them for, or not paying them for, we're talking about having them pay you for a website, a funnel, automations, CRM, maybe a nurturing campaign, maybe a custom calendar, maybe some custom forms and fields, right? All of that costs you nothing a month. And then you can even add in variable costs, like if you want a phone number, SMS, email, marketing email specifically versus a two-way sync with Google, right? Even their own phone number. So we can have a conversion mechanism set in place, and that's a one-time process where you set it up, whether you're outsourcing to a virtual assistant or whether you're doing it yourself. You set it up and then, some tweaks and whatever, but that's it. If you look at traffic generation, that's going to be a monthly process, which we'll cover in just a moment. So because it's a monthly process, it also costs you monthly versus the conversion mechanism, which set it and forget it within high level, right? And that's why we love high level, because you pay a flat rate every month and you can have unlimited clients with no increase per user, which is phenomenal, right? And again, chronologically in the creation process timeline, the conversion mechanism needs to come first. You can't send someone to nothing, right? You can't say, oh, link in my bio without there being a link in the bio. So you need to have somewhere to push the leads. And remember, we're referring to this, right? The creation process. We're not referring to the customer journey. The customer has to go through the journey, or can only go through the journey once the creation process is put into place. So that's what I mean by conversion mechanism needs to come before traffic. This is why when sometimes I have clients come to me like, oh, we want to run ads. The first thing I'll do is I'll say, well, let's look at the conversion mechanisms, because if I run ads to a non-existent website, or if I run ads to a really poorly optimized website, or a really, noisy funnel that the conversion is just going to be difficult, then my ad performance is going to take a hit. You're going to blame me when really the conversion mechanism just sucks. So that's why chronologically we go through that process, right? So now that we understand that the conversion mechanism needs to come before the traffic generation, we now understand that we need to start with an offer that we can fulfill once and create monthly cash flow, the conversion mechanism, right? Furthermore, we want to make the offer so simple and easy that it increases our chances of attracting new clients and keeping the old ones, right? So what I mean by that is, if you have a cup and you're asking me to pour water into the cup, if I'm pouring water into a cup with no bottom, it doesn't matter how much water I pour into it, the cup is never going to fill up. It doesn't matter how much traffic I pour into your business. If you don't have a client retention system, your cup will never fill up. It will just be a waste. So we need the bottom of the cup put in place. We need the client retention system, which is the conversion mechanism, in place before generating and pushing traffic. So this leads us to believe that we need a done for you offer versus just white labeling SaaS. Now, I'm not against white labeling SaaS, but again, if the goal is we need to get our first 25 clients as fast as possible, then it may make sense to say, hey, I'll set this up for you. I'll do it for you. Then I'll hand it over to you and you just enjoy the fruits of my labor and watch how it helps retain those clients. Therefore, we come to the conclusion of two levels in a single offer that work in tandem. Now, I want to preface this by saying I'm going to cover those two levels, which you can read at the bottom, but you don't have to do these two levels. This is just the two levels in order to essentially fulfill the full traffic to fulfillment process, right? So level one is a client retention system, where essentially what you're doing is this is done for you. You do it for them. You set it up once with some potential minor tweaks just as you improve the process, which I'll cover in a moment. And then you can price it between $97 and $497 a month. And then of course you can also add in those variable costs. So you can say, oh, it's $97 a month, but it's, 1 cent per email, per marketing email, or, 0.05 cents per, marketing SMS, right? So you have to explain those variable costs. The reason I add this range of $97 to $497 is because you can price it however you want. But what I like to do is I like to price it a little bit on the lower end to kind of get them in, to get the foot in the door. And then if they have a CRM that's already in place that's very specific to what they're doing, so like medical, sometimes they need a certain CRM that high level can't do. Legal maybe has some kind of protection that high level, while high level is great, maybe they need certain characteristics that is only going to be found or can only be found within a niche specific software, right? So think of like Service Titan, Jobber. There's some accounting ones where they can upload these documents and yada, yada, yada. That's where you can say, cool, we can integrate into these third-party integrations using a tool like Zapier or Make, which used to be known as Integromat. And then from there, you can say, because we've added the add-on of the integration, which creates a nice seamless flow, that's where we can go up to maybe, 97, what was 97 now goes up to 297 or goes up to 497, right? So the pricing doesn't matter, but usually you'll find it within this range. And then just make sure that you yourself are not eating those variable costs, because that will cost you quite a bit of money. So again, this is level 1, the client retention system. This is everything within high level because it doesn't cost you anything extra. There's no monthly work. It's just a set it and forget it. And then of course there's this variable cost, but again, that doesn't require you to manually bill, especially if you're using the $497 SaaS plan. The level 2 is the client acquisition system. This is going to be done for you again. So this is if you want to run ads for them. This is if you want to create content for them. This is if you want to do SEO for them, right? You are helping them now acquire clients by essentially generating traffic, pushing the traffic into the conversion mechanism, and then closing them either with the conversion mechanism or even having your own sales team, right? And so again, this all depends on what you want to do and who you are servicing. So because there's monthly work, you're going to price this between $497 and $3,000 a month, potentially more, right? I have some clients who are or have some students who are actually making $5,000 a month off of a single client because of again, it's just tailoring to the client's needs, right? Like I said in the beginning. And then of course, you still need to explain, of course, there's those pesky variable costs. So just making sure that you advise them of that. And this is just a little pro tip that I've seen with a lot of students in the past who failed to do this. It definitely bites them in the butt. You got to set expectations. So whatever you're doing, I don't care what you're offering. I don't care how little sense it makes. I don't care whatever rationale you're behind the process you have, right? Whatever you're doing, you have to set expectations. So you need to explain what you will do and what you won't do for the price point. You got to be firm. You got to, whatever you say, you got to adhere to. Even if you misspeak and you say you're going to do more than you need to, you got to either own up to it, or you need to come back to the table and explain, hey, this is the issue. I'm sorry, we can adjust it here. How can we make this up to you, right? Whatever. But you have to set expectations. You have to explain what you're going to do and what you're not going to do. You have to advise of the variable costs, and you have to advise of potential workarounds. Don't let you being greedy to get your first couple of clients cost you money by providing a poor experience, right? You're building a brand, you're building a reputation. This is the fastest way to do it, but that doesn't mean that we're cutting corners. And again, you need to remember to tailor this to your industry, what they need, not what you think they want. The client, what happens is clients will come to you. This happens all the time. And they'll say, and I'll give you an example, a really, really easy example. If you go to a mechanic and you say, oh, well, the car's making an E sound when I drive. I think it's I think it's the brake pads, right? The mechanic needs to be smart enough to say, okay, I appreciate you telling me the symptoms, but I need to look myself. The symptoms tell me kind of where to look and what I think it is, but until I look myself, I won't know. And so then the mechanic goes, okay, cool. Well, it wasn't the brake pads. Maybe it was the rotors, right? That's completely different. If he had just done what the individual had asked him to do, the issue would have still persisted and he would have gotten a bad review because he didn't fulfill accurately. So we have to understand the difference between what they want. We have to understand the difference between what they want and what they need. And then it's your job to educate, hey, this is why we do what we do. And in doing what we know you need, because I'm now tailoring this to your industry and to your business itself, it will actually create indirect benefits, like, right, the fruit of what we're going to do will then acknowledge what you want. So I hear what you want. Let me show you how we get you there based off of what we need, based off this specific industry. So how do we essentially now get to the point where we can close these level 1 clients and then upsell them into potential level 2 clients? So what we're going to do is we're going to assume all the risk. So now that we have a basic offer nailed down, we have to, let's look at how we can land our first client within 12 hours, right? Now, the goal of everything, as I was explaining a little bit just before this, is violence of action. You have to attack everything you do with a serious pace. Now, again, like I just said 30, 40 seconds ago, I'm not telling you to cut corners. I'm not telling you to, bend the rules and get through it as fast as possible. What I'm telling you to do is we need to essentially get to work, not waste time, get to the point, make it effective, and really just do what we said we're going to do. So that being said, let's reverse engineer how we can start and scale our digital agency. So here's a little illustration. I use quite a few illustrations. I was in the Army for a while, so sometimes my brain cells don't always work. So pictures help me out quite a bit, especially with nice colors. So if you're like me, I'm going to make this really, really simple, and hopefully that helps you out. But basically what you're going to do, the goal is to dirty scale to 25 clients. Right now, dirty scale means manual. Once we have your 25 clients and once we have case studies, as I'm going to show you, we can focus simply on creating content and then pivoting into paid outreach methods like ads, like cold calling, like cold emailing, the methods that everyone tells you about. But it's going to be really hard to do that until we actually get some case studies. So this is how we get to our first 25 clients, get our first couple of case studies. What you're going to do is you're going to directly engage in social media communities or directly outreach to social media individuals. And we have to essentially agitate some pain points. We have to essentially, because we understand their industry, show them what they're doing is wrong, why it doesn't work, and how to fix it. And we're going to entice them, which I'll show you in just a moment, using a temporary risk-adverse conversion mechanism. What do I mean by that? It's a temporary funnel that has this really enticing offer where you assume all of the risk so you can get people really quickly. And then once you get the amount you need, you kind of turn off that risk aversion portion, because it's going to, like I said, it's going to cost you some time and money, as I'll show you in just a moment. Now, what's cool is if we use social media to do this, you can create content that shows you know what you're talking about, which pushes them to the conversion mechanism. But when you're trying to dirty scale, if you feel like at any point they're not interested or they're kind of pulling away, you can immediately disengage. Or even if they ghost you, you can immediately disengage in pushing them here. And you can just say, oh, well, hey, if you want to follow me on social media, I'll make content helping you with a specific pain point, right? And then you push them to the, using the social media content, you're still pushing them to the conversion mechanism, but you're also providing value. So the reason I like this is because a lot of people, especially new people in high level, they think, I talked to one lead, I didn't get a sale, move on to the next. No, it's not just a binary yes and no. It can be instead of a yes and no, it can be a right now or not right now conversation. And you can use social media to do that. And of course, you're still capitalizing on social media because you're able to, number one, show them that you have content that resonates. Number two, you're able to show that you know what you're talking about. And number three, because social media is free, you're able to retarget them with problem agitating content that just continuously pushes them to your temporary risk adverse conversion mechanism. Now, as you sign them on, you're going to fulfill and collect case studies, which I'll show you how to do. And as you get case studies, you reintegrate your case studies into your funnel, so testimonials, and into your social media content saying, oh, I can show you how we did this with this client. And if you want me to do this with you, link in bio or hit me up, right? But again, you need to assume all of the risk in order to convert mere strangers into confident paying customers. Remember, this is temporary. As we've explained, it is temporary. So once you sign them on, well, not only once you sign them on, but how do we know what to offer them based off of our skill set? And this is where I told you this is going to be beginner friendly. So you can assume risk in one of two ways, and it all depends on your time availability and skill set. Number one, if you have technical skills, what you're going to do is you're going to tell them in the conversation as you push to your offer, you're going to say, hey, I'm actually going to waive the setup fee. I'm going to offer you X day trial, and if you hate it by day X-1, you can fire me and pay nothing. I'll assume all the risk. So here's what that looks like. Hey, if you want, I can set all this up for you. Usually it's $2,500 for a setup fee. Usually it's $3,000 for a setup fee. I'm going to waive that fee. Plus I'm going to give it to you for free for 30 days. If you hate it on day 29, X-1, you can fire me and pay nothing. I assume all the risk. And sometimes they'll pull back and you can ask them, where's the risk? Where's the hesitation? I've done that quite a few times and it works very, very well. So again, this is if you have tech skills, if you know how to use high level. And what I do if you are, let's say you're starting high level, you feel confident, but you're not 100%, don't worry, you don't need to be. You go right here to this website, help.gohighlevel.com, and there's so many resources on how to do everything. Not to mention YouTube. So YouTube University and High Level, the resource portal. They're two phenomenal guides, right? Now let's say you have no technical skills. What you can do is you can offer a lifetime value for a digital asset that they'll always need, but you limit it to a certain number of people. So you can say, hey, get a list of 10 to 20 people who they'd pay $1,000 or $2,000 for a lifetime deal. Then you turn around, use the capital collected to launch the business and hire a virtual assistant for fulfillment. Once you have some cash in your back pocket, the clients are onboarded, they're not paying you anymore, but they give you the cash to get the virtual assistant. So now that you have the virtual assistant, you can come right back up here. And now you can still go through with this offer because you have a VA on standby. And if you want to know how to do this step 2 portion right here, I have a more in-depth training on it where I basically break this process down. But that's essentially just a very quick version or explanation of what we do, right? And then number 3, once we have them signed on, what you're going to do is you need to use CSM efforts. So CSM is customer success management. This is how we keep clients retained. This is how we reduce churn, or how many people leave us every month, right? So what you do is you can upsell using this CSM efforts, and I'll show you exactly how. Now, the purpose isn't just to upsell with CSM. The purpose of CSM is to keep them on board so you are making money every month, right? So we want to check in with our existing clients to keep them happy. And remember, the goal is high MRR, monthly recurring revenue. This only works if you remember the first R, recurring. So it's not going to be recurring if they sign up for a month and then leave, right? So that being said, what you want to do is you want to check in with them every 2 weeks. And when you check in, you may find opportunities where the client wants to pay you to fix or add certain features. You can use this to push level 1 clients to level 2 clients if that's what you want to do. And I have some students who they just love level 1. And what they do is instead of pushing them to level 2, they actually will just say, oh, I have someone who can do SEO for you. Then they'll have referral or overlap agreements where they basically push them to a buddy of theirs who then sends them a referral kickback either once or every single month. So I have guys who I say, oh, I can't do this for you, but I have a friend who can. And then the friend will send me a commission for either $100 a month or $1,000 upfront. And if you're using high level, again, you can automate this whole portion. If you don't know how to do that, you come right back over here. There's a whole bunch of resources on how you can use automations, and they even have CSM automations outlined in this process. Or again, run to YouTube. There's so much stuff. And it's all free. So don't pay anybody for it. It's all free. Don't pay me for it. Don't pay anyone for it. It's all free to learn, right? But this is what the workflow looks like. You do a bi-monthly CSM automated check-in. And you basically do 2 pulse checks, a negative pulse check where you're trying to figure out, hey, is there anything you're unhappy with? Is there anything that we could do better? Is there anything that we could help you out with that maybe you thought it was gonna be one way, but it wasn't? You do a negative pulse check, you get the feedback, and then you can fix and update your snapshot or your standard operating procedure. So that way, that could be the method, or that could be the not method, that could be the very thing that was keeping them from about to leave. They could be like, well, I hate the automations. And you could be like, oh, well, we can fix it for you. Oh, okay, cool, I'll stay. Right? That's going to increase your monthly recurring revenue because it's decreasing your churn as you get more clients. So you can figure out what they are potentially about to leave over, or you could figure out, hey, I'm not a fan of this, but I would like it better. And then you could fix it. They're happy. They see that you are providing the customer service that is desirable, and it could prevent somebody else from leaving if you learn with one client what could help all of your other clients. Now, you could go into this negative pulse check and they could be like, yeah, it's going really well. The client retention systems model, it's working super well, but we want more clients. And you could tell them, well, we built your retention model. We could talk about now client acquisition, and you can push them into level 2. That's how we upsell. On the other hand, 2 weeks after this negative pulse check-in, just a very quick positive pulse check-in. And if you do the positive pulse check-in and they're like, oh, we're super happy, we love it, we don't want to change a thing, you could then push to a case study. And as we know up here, the case studies get reintegrated so we can eventually drop off this manual scaling. On the other hand, if they're like, yeah, this is going well, we love it, but we'd like to do more in this or that aspect, you can then upsell and push them to be a level 2 client. So this is just a very quick rundown. This is just a snippet of what we offer and what we discuss in SASO University. If you have no idea what SASO University is, this is where I'm going to do my little pitch. So if you don't want to hear it, you can go ahead and leave. But basically what SASO University is it's a private exclusive community where we focus specifically on scaling high-level agency owners. Okay, we have monthly coaching calls, training released periodically. We have the new thing that we have that's coming up is we actually have a local SEO expert dropping a 10-course mini-series or a 10-episode mini-series on generating local traffic for your clients. Nobody else is really offering this. What's cool is, here's the best part, it's free to high-level affiliates, which most people do. However, any level. So you could come in at the lowest level, and as you upgrade your plan, I will more than welcome you to upgrade under other people's affiliates, so that way you can get the best of both worlds. You get my coaching calls, our exclusive community, our training on how to scale using our 7-step $0 client acquisition model, and you can still benefit off of other affiliates because I'm not selfish. I really want to make sure that you guys win, because if you win, then I win, right? So you can sign up under me and others. If you are already signed up as an affiliate and you still want to join, it's only $49 a month for now. As we add more, obviously the price will increase, but whatever price point you enter in, you basically get grandfathered in. And if you want this document, itself, you can hit me up on Facebook or IG at Alec J. Roy. I'd be more than happy to send you a copy of this. Appreciate you watching. If you have any questions, hit me up.